So, fourth form, we're going to be moving on to probability, where we will be using a lot of fractions. So today's lesson is a very nice, straightforward one. You're just going to be practicing how to do all the various things you can do to mixed number fractions. So we're going to be practicing adding them, subtracting them, multiplying them, and dividing them. So very straightforward. So I'm just going to model one of each, and then I'm just going to leave it for you to do a single Hegarty exercise. I was really hoping I could find a Hegarty exercise that models all of them together, so it did multiplying, adding, dividing, and taking away all modelled up together, but he seems to have done a separate video and exercise for each. So I thought the most important one really, or I mean they're all easy, but the one that requires a bit more skill is the adding and subtracting. So the one I've actually set is just on adding fractions, but I would like you to make sure that you are comfortable with all four. So if you want to, you don't have to, but if you want to, just go and choose some of the other Hegarty fractions exercises just to practice the other skills. So the subtracting, multiplying and dividing, obviously you're very welcome to, but the one that I'm going to be copying the results across onto the assignment will just be the one that I've formally set, which I'll say what that number is in a minute. Okay, so let's just use that there. Okay, right. Okay, so this is the one I've just chosen to model. So we're going to do everything we possibly can to 2 3/4 and 1 2/5. So first things first, whichever operation you are doing, always start off by converting to a top-heavy improper fraction. So I'm sure you all know how to do this, but obviously we're dealing in quarters. We've got 2 wholes, so that's 8/4. 8 plus 3 is 11/4. And of course, the quick way to do that is just to say 2 4s are 8. 8 add 3 is 11. So for example, with 1 2/5, the quick way to do it is saying, well, we're dealing in fifths. How many fifths have we got? 1 5 is 5, and add the 2, and that's 7. Okay. Now, it's unlikely any of you struggle with that, but you never know. We all have weaknesses now and again, some of which are easier ones. If any of you are not comfortable on how to convert into a top-heavy fraction, just send me a post through Teams, and I'll get back to you. Okay. So, with all of these, we've started off by converting to 11/4 and 7/5, all of them. Okay, so when we're adding or subtracting, remember you need to have a common denominator. You need to have the same number on the bottom. So a common denominator, you will always get a common denominator, not necessarily the smallest one, but the lowest one, but you'll always get a common denominator if you multiply the two numbers together. 4 5s are 20, and obviously for these numbers, that is the lowest common denominator. Okay, so we've got a common denominator of 20. Now, how do we convert 11/4 into something over 20? We multiply the denominator by 5. 4 5s are 20. So to keep the fraction unchanged, to keep it as an equivalent fraction, we've also got to multiply the numerator by 5. So 11 5s are 55. Similarly with 7/5, we need it to be over 20, so we multiply top and bottom by 4. Now, once we've got that common denominator, it's easy. You add the numerators. 55 add 28 is 83, and be careful, don't go and change the denominator, that's still 20ths. And then change back to a mixed number. I think with fractions questions, even if you're not asked to, if you start off with mixed numbers, give your final answer as a mixed number, so we can get 4 wholes out of 83 bits. That's using up 80 of them, so we've got 3 left over, so that's 4 3/20. Now we're subtracting, exactly the same process to get the top-heavy fractions, exactly the same process to get the common denominator and the equivalent fractions. But of course, as we're subtracting, we now subtract the numerators. 55 take away 28 is 27. 27/20, that's 1 whole and 7/20ths left over. Now, moving on to multiplying. So again, I want you to always go top-heavy improper fractions. And then remember, multiplying is the easy one. It's just top times top, bottom times bottom. 11 sevens are 77, 4 fives are 20, that's 77 over 20. So we can get 3 wholes out of that using up 60 bits. So we're left with 17 20ths. Now dividing, again, as always, top-heavy fractions to start. But remember that if you're dividing by a fraction, that's the equivalent of multiplying by its reciprocal. Think about it. If you divide something by 2, that's the same as multiplying it by a half. It's just half of it. If you want to work out half of something, then you just divide by 2. So that's the principle there. So 11 over 4 divided by 7 over 5 is the same thing as 11 over 4 multiplied by 5 over 7. So we've kept the first fraction the same. We've changed the sign from division to multiplication, and we've gone and switched over the second fraction. Now, once you've converted it to one of the easy ones, you're away. 11 fives are 55, 4 sevens are 28. It's just top times top, bottom times bottom, one of the easy ones. And 55 over 28 is 1 whole and 27 28ths. Okay, so I don't see the need to model anymore. This should all be very familiar to you. You've done this from way back in first form and probably junior school. So the one I would like you to practice on Hegarty Maths is 66. So I have set that up as the specific one for you to do. As I think I said before, Hegarty has been very slow at uploading what teachers have requested. So if it's not already there as the one for you to do, please just go and search for 66 and do it. I will be monitoring throughout this lesson, and the second you've gone and got your score posted, I will transfer it across over onto your assignment page. Just looking at it, actually it was adding or subtracting, so that's good. So we're practicing 2 of them, but obviously what we're not practicing here is multiplying or dividing. So if you want to practice some of those, can you please go and do alternative Hegarty exercises? They'll all be around the 66 mark. You'll only have to look a few up from that, sort of 67, 68 or what have you. I mean, I'm comfortable with these. If you get 100%, you don't have to go and upload your workings onto your assignment page, onto your Teams page for me to have a look at the workings. So you don't have to. If you've got 100%, well done and what have you. But I'd like to see them. So if you are able to upload your workings, that's great. And it just gives you a complete set of notes online, really. So again, I think you're all getting pretty good at that. So just to remind you, if you go into Teams, if you go onto Class Notebook, and then if you go onto the Homework tab, you will see that there's already a page waiting for you, 36.1 fractions revision, for you to upload your workings onto. And that's the page that I'll go and handwrite on the percentage you get, and I'll leave you a little smiley face comment. Okay, so I don't think this will take you too long, guys. In short, please can you all do 66? That's the compulsory bit of work. If you want an extension activity, then go and do some of the other fraction ones around there. But this is the one I'd really like you all to go and get 100% in if you can. Okay, guys, see you then. Bye.